This week, the sky brings, well, let's be real, baddies, the deep desire for me to hold all of you in a big group hug while we inhale, exhale, and say, WTF just happened. But truly, we're going to get into so much cosmic context of what's happening. More importantly, who we are, what we can do next, as always, what we can control versus what we can't control. We're going to talk about the moon. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about just big ways to keep in our heart-centered practices. Even when it's hard, right? We roll up our sleeves. We don't just throw our hands up. And we have a lot of the astrology, our ancestors, just the energy of the divine at our back. So we rest if we need to. We curse, we kick, we stomp if we need to, but we don't give up.
Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, MADI Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in.
Baddies never say die, honey. Oh, I'm your host, MADI Murphy. Hello, welcome to the podcast this week. This is one of those weeks it's like, I don't even know how to do a podcast. There's so much I want to say, but I'm going to try and keep this to the bullet points. So we will be talking about planetary planning, the full moon in Taurus coming up. We're going to talk about Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Leo, how that's all playing into it. And of course, we're going to talk about the moon for your emotional weather. Before that, we have to talk about, like, if astrology isn't real, what's happening in the world stage. OMG. So we're coming off of, it's 11/11, the day this podcast comes out. Let's all make a wish on a manifestation for humanity. And we know that, like, here in the U.S., we just had the presidential election, and it was a bit of a doozy. You know, if anyone's been here for a minute, I do never idolize or glamorize any politician or the political party, the Democratic Party. But I think there was something about the Trumpster coming back in to win the presidential seat in such a sweep that, like, had at least me had my head spinning. Just based off of, like, you know, the polls and just things that even I was seeing in the astrology chart. And of course, I am biased. I'm a muggle human. Just based on the energy, based on, I thought a lot of Republicans kind of fed up, but so much happened. And I just want to take a minute and just kind of break down some things that have offered me some, if not peace, but again, just perspective of you know, what's going on here. And we have this election. First and foremost, beyond going into any of the individual candidates' charts, it's the last election with Pluto with 29 degrees Capricorn, the late stage of the most high critical degree of patriarchal energy that we could imagine, right? I was looking at that, but then seeing, oh, well, then the actual president will start their first presidency with Pluto in Aquarius. So, like, what energy is going to win? Like, the energy during the election or the energy during the final vote count, the inauguration, the kickoff to the presidency? With that being said, I feel like this election with this huge, like, red wave, they said the biggest one since Reagan, it felt very Pluto Cap, 29 degrees, like, hard. I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's just like, wow. That being said, and anyway, I did a whole podcast about the election, and I'm woman enough to admit that some of the stuff I said didn't come to pass. I have my own bias. Astrology is a tool. I don't generally love doing big prediction stuff because there's so many unexpected aspects to human nature and free will and things that change. And also, I think it's a way of, like, keeping us really humble. With that being said, there's still so much weird astrology that I'm not saying it's like, oh, I'm not doing this for false hope or everything's going to be better or everything's going to change in a few weeks for the good, but there's still more to this story to unfold. So before I get into that, I just want to take a moment to address everyone who felt conflicted going into this election, everyone who doesn't feel really represented by any politician or party. I want to address anyone who woke up on November 6th just feeling deeply scared, especially to my friends in more marginalized communities. I wanted to send love to everyone who is just tired of being tired of not feeling seen. I feel like they wake up in a country that has let them down, or in a world that refuses to see or make space for them. I just want to send love to people who are wondering, is this ever going to get better? Sending love to people who are scared for their children, their parents, their loved ones. I acknowledge that. And trust me, there are moments with all of this that I'm like, should we just dip into like dark magic? Like sorcery? Is sorcery okay to do? So we're going to keep our head high. We're going to remain optimistic. But we also need to process and go through all the various emotions that we're feeling. We have to let the pain fuel us, not break us. We have to remember that we have to congregate and gather, and that community is always the answer to crisis. We have to plan. We also have to dream weave and make time for joy and beauty and play. We have to remember that we're better than this moment. We're on our own path, while acknowledging that there are some very real fears that we're feeling for each other, for ourselves, for the collective, okay? So I'm not trying to gloss over that, but this is a wild time to be an earthling human. And for some reason, on some soul level, we did sign up for front row tickets to this transition, to this revolution, and to bring something to the table, our role in that revolution. And I think that in terms of astrology, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's ahead right now, but my favorite use of astrology is less prediction and fortune telling, obviously. It's more about understanding ourselves, giving ourselves language to have context of what's happening in the cycles of history around us. And maybe more importantly, who are we? So we can show up for these cycles of history with more self-awareness, more groundedness, more understanding of our superpowers, but also our shadows, how to understand, how to increase our capacity for uncertainty, how to keep our hearts open, how to stay empathetic, how to stay curious, how to stay in the place of problem solving and innovation, and how to evolve, really, how to move out of stagnation, because that is a lot of what this country is sort of stuck in, a stagnation, a fear of moving forward, a fear of what will be lost, a fear of what's on the other side of this, and then a fear of maybe even some of the mirroring or boomerang effect of the lack of empathy that they've put out being cast back at them. And so with Pluto moving into Aquarius, one of the things I keep saying is, it's evolve or die, bitches. Pluto is saying that. So we ain't staying here forever. That I know for damn sure. And the other thing with Pluto in Aquarius is, yes, it's community. Yes, it's progress, it's innovation. But Aquarius is not like a warm and fluffy sign. So it's not going to happen in like a kumbaya peace circle. We're all doing like a massage train. It's not it. It's going to come through a lot of Saturnian and Uranian energies, right? Saturn is taskmaster, sometimes kind of harsh, karma catch up, and Uranus is just huge, unexpected plot twists, and the shock almost like that keeps us awake and keeps us engaged during it all. And the other mantra during Pluto and Aquarius is, we have to remember to not let the oppressed become the oppressor. So I'm not saying that we need to hug every red pill swallowing incel who has a podcast and be like, you're cool, bro, when you're really not. I don't mean that, but it's just like keeping our heart open to grace and compassion and forgiveness, if not for them, but like for ourselves. And so with all that being said, the astrology, as we like lead into these next few weeks, I'm so nervous to, again, this is not in a false hope way, because it's uncertainty. It's the astrology of uncertainty is just coming. There's this climax of the story of this election I don't believe has played itself out completely. I know at the very least it hasn't played itself out. The revolution is still happening. 2025 astrology is cuckoo banana pants. We have the Uranus return of the USA. The Uranus in Gemini of it all brings always like war and division and conflict. Trump's chart is very prominent in this. There's lots of change coming up, civil unrest, maybe it's war with other countries. We have Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. Pluto will be firmly in Aquarius. Every outer planet will be in a different sign than it is now. And the North Node will be in Pisces. And for the rest of the month, we have this full moon in Taurus this very week that I think is actually going to bring up some kind of plot twist on the 15th. It's full moon in Taurus. It's conjunct Uranus. We always see during like these big moments on the world stage usually align with some sort of full moon. The moon represents the people in mundane astrology. And then as of November 7th, 2 days after the election, Mercury entered retrograde shadow in 6 degrees of Sagittarius. It will go fully retrograde the 25th of November. We'll stay there through December 15th. And then on January 2nd, we'll leave the shadow. In this time, from November 7th to January 2nd, there is a retrograde, Mercury retrograde. And then Mars will join the retrograde party. And whenever we have a retrograde, especially a double retrograde like this, there is something that'll be redone, re-evaluated, reassessed, right? And this Mars retrograde begins on December 6th in Leo. And Mars in Leo is both the sign of Kamala and Donald, but it affects Donald's chart a little differently because it will be going through his 12th house of hidden enemies, things that are done in secret. And then on January 6th, Mars will be retrograde back into the sign of Cancer. And that'll be 29 degrees Cancer. What happened on January 6th, 2021? Mars was in 29 degrees of Aries. So that 29 degrees of Mars happening during these very volatile, highly emotional times, it usually plays out with something. This is Cancer, so maybe this is unrest from a lot of women, the feminine. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but the double retrograde of it all means it's not going to be like a clear cut forward path. And then, there's just other things. This full moon will hit the part of Donald's chart where it was when activating some of the points, Algol, Uranus, etc., from his assassination attempt. We talked about he hasn't hit the peak of his life yet. Kamala has some very interesting astrology where I don't think we've seen the end of her. But again, I'm not trying to make the uncertain certain, but I'm just trying to let us know for our nervous system's sake, we're not done yet. And what can we, again, control? Like I said in last week's podcast, what can we control? What can't we control? How do we show up either way? Because listen, the truth of the matter is we might be feeling a little bit more joyful, a little bit more light, a little bit more optimistic if Kamala won right now, but we would still have a shit ton of work to do. A shit ton of work to do. And this is just like going deeper into our shadow work, deeper into our feelings of, a lot of people already knew this, but more people are realizing it, of like, we got things to work on here, okay? So stay in the place, stay soft, stay supple, stay adaptable, figure out what you need to feel in your resilience, to feel resourced over the next few weeks, because I imagine it's just going to be a lot. So speaking of feeling resourced and feeling resilient and increasing our capacity for holding the uncertainty of it all, let's talk about the moon. Let's talk about lunar self-care. The day this podcast comes out, 11/11, it's a Pisces moon day all day. Oh, you gotta love that. It goes until the early morning hours of November 12th. Listen, I would love everyone here to do something that supports their creativity, their healing, their spiritual connection on this day. We're going to post on the blog, 11/11 ritual I love. 11/11 is a day of alignment. It's a day of like plugging in. If you imagine one of the 11s is like a shoot of energy going up. The other 11 is like a shoot of energy going down. It's a great day to do manifestation work, divination work, just kind of remember the magic and miracles of it all in life. And then we go into, after that, Aries Moon Day. So Tuesday, basically from 1:45 a.m. Eastern Time through all day Wednesday through Thursday at 1:58 a.m. we have Aries Moon Days. This is a great day to we're owning our personal power. We're doing something for us. We're doing something where we're taking time out to do something that's independent, like a task, or just something that stokes our fires of passion. And we have to remember the North Node is still in Aries. So there's a lot of this Aries energy being conjured up. And also with that, it's like healthy outlets for rage or anger, or frustration, because we want to look out for those days blowing up, right? Like Scorpio sun's like something to blow the surface. And then Aries moon's like, I'm going to make everyone pay for it. So how do we transmute and work with these bigger feelings, not in a way that's suppressing them, in a way that's expressing them, but in a healthy way? Then on Thursday, the 14th, we have, oh my goodness, I must have said it on last week's podcast, but we're just, oh my God, by the time this week passes, Jordy's birthday. My baby Scorpio is 1 year old. 1 year old. I'm emotional. Oh my goodness. There's so many emotions coursing through me this month. I'm like, hormones, baby's turning 1. We're knee deep in a goddamn revolution. So Thursday the 14th at 2 a.m. Eastern time, the moon moves into Taurus. We have that the 15th and then the 16th on Saturday until 2 a.m. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Taurus moon, let's get grounded. Let's get in our bodies. You know, we did a great poll story on our Instagram last Thursday. Like, what are you doing to stay nourished and grounded and self-care and community care right now? And I love how all of the self-care, it just like even hearing about people doing Taurus-y things makes me feel like grounded. People were talking about taking really good baths, stretching, being in their body, making yummy like stews, a slow cooker, food items. And I was just like, yes, like, oh, ground me down, mama. Like that feels so good. So connecting to earth, connecting to nature these days if we can. And then of course that's going to bring us through like the full moon. So I'm also going to bring that up in planetary planning. But when we have those opposite energies of Scorpio sun, Taurus moon, stuff's going to come up, stuff's going to want to be released, stuff is going to be illuminated. So we just want to kind of be in witness of it all and not in resistance. I'll get into more of that in the planetary planning. But then Saturday and Sunday, we have a nice Gemini moon weekend, Scorpio sun, Gemini moon. Let's be social, let's chit chat, let's yappity yap, let's connect with people we love or people who are like share similar interests to us or somewhere like new. It's a great time to stimulate the mind, to get fresh air, change up the scenery. It can do wonders for you, right? The thing we're going to look out for during that time is spilling other people's secrets, gossiping, talking out of turn. It's just that Scorpio sun, Gemini moon, like you might, let something slip you didn't mean to. So let's just be mindful of that. And then this brings us into planetary planning. So there's a lot going on. November is so crazy. But let's talk about like the big headlines. TLDR, this Taurus full moon is going to be nuts. On the collective level, I think, shockwave, surprise, something wild that's going to definitely affect Biden's chart really interestingly. So, just everything I'm saying, I'm not going to get too much into the political astrology now because we spent our time on that. Now I want to get back to you, okay? Back to my cuties. But just keeping that in mind that might be happening. But then on the individual level, I think this Taurus full moon is really juicy. It's bringing a lot of opportunities to bring us like the seeds we've been planting for a while to come into fruition, to bring us into our bodies, to bring us into life-affirming abundance in some way, to kick something into high gear. It's a dream big, rich bitch energy kind of full moon, and I like it for us on the individual level. It's ripe with possibilities. While this is going on the same day, Venus moved into Capricorn. Last week Mars moved into Leo. Venus in Capricorn, I love this energy. It's a very strong energy. It's very sexy energy. People who have this placement, I'm like, yes, you are just like all about quality over quantity, suffer no fools, here to level up, here to really like own your worthiness. I always like Venus and Capricorn people naturally help me level up. My little sister Jenny has this placement. I love a Venus in Capricorn. But then what else is happening on this full moon in terms of just like the planetary players? Saturn is going to station direct earlier, like in the day at 9:20 a.m. The full moon is at 4:30 p.m. So Saturn is going direct. And then this is the last literal like 4 days of Pluto in Capricorn, which is significant because of, like I said, Venus is in Capricorn. The full moon is ruled by Venus. Venus is in Capricorn. There's a lot. And in Capricorn, we look to the Capricorn. Saturn is in Pisces, trine direct. There's a lot of like Capricorn energy circulating through this full moon. And so let's break down a little bit of what this looks like for you. So again, I just want to remind everyone, Mercury will officially be in its shadow period by now. So just looking out for things that are a little wonky, communication that's off, technology that's off, and looking at like, again, like you might get some hits and messages for what that Mercury retrograde lesson might be about for you. Okay, sorry, I should talk about Mercury retrograde. My brain just went like, okay, so Taurus full moon, November 15th, 4:28 p.m. It's conjunct directly Uranus, right? Like it's tight. It is 1 degree away from Uranus. And Uranus is always going to be here to be a shit stirrer, to be a table flipper, to be like, surprise, bitch. You didn't see that coming. So with this full moon's already explosive times. They can be emotional times. So that's why I'm like, we're just expecting the unexpected. And anyone who acts like they can predict what's going to happen under that full moon, it's like they're just going to have a lucky yes, I would say, because it's just so wild. It's so erratic. With our personal charts, that might come up in a way where something comes out of the blue, an opportunity, maybe something that can come change and improve our financial status, our love lives, our creativity, our sense of security. Yeah, like something, a work opportunity. So there's something where we're being kind of like rocketed forward. So as always, look back. What was going on 6 months ago? What was going on during that new moon in Taurus on May 7th? Is something coming into full completion from then? Is something closing out? Are you realizing something is blossoming on the vine? Is something ready to be plucked or harvested from that time period? Looking at that might help you better understand what's happening now. Also, understanding where you have Taurus in your chart might also give you more context. And if you want the full download on that in Cosmic RX Plus Premium in the Lunarverse, I will do bonus podcast content based on, reading for your full moon message by your sign. And also our own magical Maggie will be leading a live full moon call on there. So if you're like, damn, I really want to like understand what's going on this full moon. I want to gather, I want to be in community. I want to understand what's going on in my chart. Check all of that out there. We have it for you. And it really does. It helps so much. So back to the astrology, what's happening with these playas? Venus in Capricorn. Again, like I said, the ruler of this full moon in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So we look to Venus in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn is like, honey, it's time to level up. It's, like I said, rich bitch energy. It's like, stop settling for scraps. If there's something in your life, in your intimate relations, in your love life, in your work life, with your money, and you're being asked to move past personal old like comfort levels. I mean, listen, one of the things that we've been talking a little bit about in this community is like, one of the keys to this revolution is taking our finances seriously and getting real with like being fiscally responsible and independent, so that way we can have more buying power, more freedom, more decision-making power. And there may be something under this full moon in Taurus where you're like, aha, I get it. I'm ready. Or a surprise element of an invitation opportunity. And there may be like a big urge or need to break free from some old pattern. I was thinking about Scorpio and Taurus. They're fixed signs. So they're things that feel really fixed within us. There could be something that feels really stagnant, really old, and that we're ready to be like, not serving me anymore. So with this, I also wanted to bring up under this full moon, it's making a beautiful harmony with Neptune in Pisces and also Pluto in these last degrees of Capricorn. And what this really means for us is the Neptune and Pisces of it all is that we're given a glimpse of spiritual vision, spiritual support, something where we're divinely protected and directed and being led right now, and asking us to discover, explore, go out and do something new with this energy. And then, of course, Pluto in these last 2 years. I feel like I've been saying last 2 years of Pluto and Capricorn for like years, but for real, like these are the last days of Pluto and Capricorn. Like that's the energy that's helping us break free from some kind of old pattern and really helping us enter something new. So I want you to think about like a reflection of like, where am I ready to break free? Where am I ready to call in and accept more and say I'm worthy of more? And like, what does this rich bitch energy feel like to me? Is it having freedom to travel, freedom to take care of my family? Is it freedom of time? Is it freedom to take care of myself better? What is that, right? Emotions really can fuel our manifestations. And under this full moon, we are going to be having a lot of emotions. And this Uranus energy is like, it's bringing in something unexpected. So again, we're grounding down. Full moon in Taurus, cosmic RXs. We're definitely getting in our bodies. We're eating that yummy stew I mentioned. We're stretching. We're drinking our water. And that's going to really help us in that grounding and nourishing our nervous systems will help us prepare for any big changes. So if you want more information or you want to gather in community under this full moon, definitely check out our Lunarverse, which is our Cosmic RX Plus Premium community. We have a WhatsApp group there, the group chat. We have beautiful illustrated moon guides that Audrey puts together for every season. We have new moon calls, full moon calls, bonus podcast content. Just things to really support you in your cosmic self-care, but also in your manifestation practices. And maybe most importantly, in just not feeling alone. And I think that is one of the biggest takeaways from this season of world history that we've incarnated into is that we need to not be alone. We need to, the illusion that we're separated or isolated from each other is how these like systems of harm and power get in and creep in and tell us certain things. So we're all in this together, to quote High School Musical. We have so much power when we are committing to rising and doing this with each other, for each other. And I'll just be here every step of the way. Like, hold on to your hats. I don't even know what next week's pod will bring, but we'll just keep showing up here as we do. So sending you love and always the blessings, especially under this Taurus full moon. Really big, fat, juicy checks and hot, fulfilling, toe-curling sex. Until next time. Mwah. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.